Airline denies twin black girls boarding until CEO dad intervenes and grounds flights. I don't care who your father supposedly is. You two aren't getting on this flight. Those venomous words sliced through the airport noise at Gate 47, Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, as gate agent Tinsley Ray leaned over the counter, her face red with barely contained contempt. Two 12-year-old black girls, Lily and Rose Harrison, stood frozen in shock. Their matching pink dress was cold on their bodies suddenly, their neat braids and polished Mary Janes a stark contrast to how small and vulnerable they felt in that moment. Welcome back to Black and Bruised Stories. If you're new here, you've just joined a community dedicated to truth, justice, and survival. Show some love by clicking the like and subscribe button. Before we dive deeper into this story, drop a comment, where you are watching from and what time it is for you right now. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead like angry wasps as passengers lined up behind them shifted uncomfortably, some pulling out phones, others averting their eyes from the discrimination unfolding before them. Lily's hand trembled as she held up her phone displaying their boarding passes, legitimate tickets purchased by their father for their first solo flight to Seattle. But ma'am, Lily's voice shook with the effort of staying polite when every instinct screamed at the injustice. We have our boarding passes right here. You can scan them. Please. Step aside. You're holding up the line, Tinsley Ray commanded, her words dripping with a disdain that had nothing to do with boarding passes and everything to do with who was holding them. Behind the twins, an elderly white couple exchanged uncomfortable glances, that universal look of witnessing something wrong but lacking the courage to intervene. A businesswoman in expensive heels tapped impatiently, more concerned about her delay than the discrimination happening 3 feet away. Only one younger white male passenger dared to mutter, "Just let them through already," but Tinsley's sharp glare silenced him instantly. That's when Brad Thompson approached Tinsley's colleague, his arms already crossed before he even understood the situation, his body language screaming presumed guilt before innocence. He looked those two children up and down with a dismissive shake of his head that communicated volumes without uttering a single word. "What's the hold-up, Tinsley?" Brad asked, though his tone suggested he already knew and approved. "Corporate tickets," Tinsley replied, savoring each word like ammunition. "Two unaccompanied minors. On a flight to Seattle." She paused for maximum dramatic effect, her eyebrow raised in practiced skepticism. "You want to tell me how two little girls got access to a corporate American Express account?" The word little wasn't just descriptive. It was diminutive, dismissive, designed to make these young women feel even smaller than their 12 years. The entire boarding line had ground to a complete halt now, passengers openly gawking at this scene of institutional racism disguised as security protocol. Brad nodded knowingly, that conspiratorial nod between two people who've made these kinds of decisions before. The security radios crackled ominously in the background as Lily tried one more time, her voice fighting to stay calm and reasonable. "Our father purchased these tickets. His name is Damian Harrison. You can call him right now. Please, just call him." "Oh, your father," Tinsley mocked, stretching out the word, supposedly, like it was contaminated. "The one who supposedly works for an airline." A black woman in her 40s, professional and composed, finally couldn't stomach the injustice anymore. She stepped forward from the line, her voice firm but respectful. "Excuse me, but maybe there's been a mistake. These are children. Can't you just verify?" "Ma'am, return to the line or you won't be boarding either." Tinsley cut her off with the kind of threat that had kept people silent through decades of discrimination. The woman hesitated, her face a battlefield of anger and helplessness, that familiar expression of someone who knows exactly what's happening but feels powerless to stop it. She stepped back, but her eyes remained locked on those girls, witnessing, remembering. Rose was crying now, really crying, her small body shaking as tears streamed down her face. "Please, our daddy is waiting for us. We just want to see our daddy." Her voice broke on that word, daddy, shattering like glass, the way only a child's voice can when they're scared and far from the parent who makes them feel safe. Tinsley and Brad exchanged that look, that silent communication between people who've already decided someone's guilt based on nothing more than the color of their skin. Tinsley reached for her radio with deliberate slowness, making sure the girls saw it coming, making sure they understood their powerlessness. Security to Gate 47. We need assistance with a situation. Possible fraud. The word, fraud, detonated through the gate area like a bomb. Passengers immediately pulled out their phones, some filming, some texting, all watching this discrimination unfold in real time. Lily instinctively pulled Rose close, both girls frozen in terror as the overhead announcement cheerfully declared the final boarding call for Flight 2847 to Seattle, their flight, the one they'd been counting down to for weeks, the one that would reunite them with their father. But to understand the full injustice of what was happening to Lily and Rose Harrison, we need to go back to the morning that had started with such pure joy and anticipation. After happily saying goodbye to their grandma Patricia, they made their way toward Gate 47, chattering about their Seattle plans. They passed other families, business people buried in phones, soldiers in uniform who made them think of their uncle. Everything felt normal, safe, exciting, the world opening up before them like a promise. They reached Gate 47 45 minutes before boarding, settling into seats near the window where they could watch planes take off and land. Lily started her Sudoku while Rose scrolled through TikTok, occasionally showing her sister funny videos. Behind the counter at Gate 47, Tinsley Ray was checking her computer with the kind of scrutiny usually reserved for TSA agents. Her colleague Brad Thompson was organizing boarding passes, both of them going through the motions of their daily routine until Tinsley's eyes landed on the twins. She watched them for a long moment, something shifting in her expression. Brad noticed her staring. "What is it?" he asked. "Those two. Seats 14A and B. What about them?" "They're unaccompanied minors. Flying on corporate tickets." Brad shrugged. "So? Happens all the time. Not with kids who look like that. Not on corporate accounts," Tinsley said, her meaning crystal clear without saying the actual words. Brad looked at the twins, then back at Tinsley, and something unspoken passed between them, a decision based on nothing more than prejudice dressed up as precaution. Tinsley pulled up the reservation on her computer, her expression hardening with false suspicion. Damian Harrison. Skyward corporate card. 2 tickets, last-minute purchase. Could be legit, Brad offered weakly. Or it could be stolen. You remember last month, those teenagers with the hacked accounts? Those were different. Were they? Tinsley's question hung in the air, heavy with implication. I'm flagging this. Better safe than sorry. She made a note in the system, sealing the twins' fate with a few keystrokes born of bias. The twins remained blissfully unaware, laughing at something on Rose's phone, their last moments of innocence before their world would shatter. Time passed with airport slowness until the boarding announcement finally came. First-class passengers boarded, then Zone 1, Zone 2. The twins were Zone 3, gathering their backpacks with excitement, joining the line with the confidence of travelers who belonged there, because they did. Lily texted their dad, "About to board. Love you." They approached the counter with bright smiles, holding out their phones with the boarding passes displayed. And that's when Tinsley's expression changed, transformed from professional distance to active hostility. She scanned their passes once, twice, 3 times, each scan accompanied by a theatrical frown. Her computer beeped. "There's a problem with these passes," she announced, loud enough for everyone to hear. And we're back where we started, at the moment when discrimination showed its ugly face to 2 innocent children who just wanted to see their father. The moment that would change everything. The moment when the CEO's daughters learned that sometimes the world judges you before it knows you. The moment when Damian Harrison would learn what had happened to his babies and bring the entire airline industry to its knees. If you're as outraged as you should be, hit that subscribe button right now because you need to hear how this story ends. And tell me in the comments, have you or someone you know ever faced discrimination while traveling? What would you have done if you'd been in that boarding line? Tinsley Ray held those phones like evidence in a crime that existed only in her prejudiced imagination, staring at the boarding passes with the intensity of someone looking for a reason, any reason, to justify what she'd already decided to do. The line behind Lily and Rose grew longer, restlessness rippling through the crowd like waves of discomfort. Brad leaned over to peer at Tinsley's screen, his body language already supporting whatever she was about to do. The twins stood there, confusion replacing excitement, their purple backpacks suddenly feeling heavier on their small shoulders. "What kind of problem?" Lily asked, her voice steady despite the earthquake happening in her chest. "Step aside, please," Tinsley commanded with the authority of someone who'd done this before. "Let me handle the other passengers first." "But we're Zone 3. It's our turn," Rose protested, her sense of fairness offended by this inexplicable delay. "Step aside." Tinsley bit off each word like she was spitting them at the girls. The twins moved to the side, the walk of shame watched by dozens of eyes, some sympathetic, others annoyed at the delay, most simply glad it wasn't them. Lily kept her hand on Rose's shoulder, a protective gesture their mother had taught them. "Stay together, stay strong, stay dignified even when the world tries to strip your dignity away." "It's probably just a technical glitch," Lily whispered to her sister, but her voice betrayed the doubt creeping in like fog. "They'll fix it." 5 minutes passed like hours. 10 passengers boarded while the twins stood in limbo. Tinsley occasionally glanced at them while scanning other passes, her looks carrying the weight of accusation. Finally, the last Zone 3 passenger boarded, disappearing down the jet bridge to the plane that should have carried the twins to their father. Zone 4 was called. Then Zone 5. The twins remained standing, monuments to injustice that everyone could see but no one would address. Lily approached the counter again, her 12-year-old dignity fighting against 12-year-old tears. "Ma'am, excuse me. Can we please board now?" "I'm still verifying your tickets," Tinsley replied without looking up, the lie as obvious as the discrimination. "But everyone in our zone already boarded." "Because their tickets weren't flagged as suspicious." Tinsley finally looked up, her eyes cold as winter in Atlanta rarely was. The word, suspicious, hit the girls like physical blows. Rose's eyes widened with the shock of being accused of something she didn't even understand. "Suspicious? We didn't do anything wrong." Rose's voice cracked with indignation and fear. Brad stepped forward, playing his supporting role in this theater of injustice. "Where did you get these boarding passes?" "Our father sent them to us." "He bought the tickets," Lily explained for what felt like the 100th time. "And where is your father?" Brad asked, though he knew the answer. "In Seattle. We're flying to visit him." Tinsley and Brad exchanged another one of those looks, the kind that communicated entire racist assumptions without words. "So you're traveling alone with tickets purchased on a corporate account, and your supposed father isn't here to verify the purchase." That word again, supposed, weaponized to strip these girls of their family, their truth, their very identity. "He's not my supposed father, he's my actual father." Lily's composure finally cracked, her voice rising with frustration. "His name is Damian Harrison. You can call him." "We'll handle this our way," Tinsley decreed. "Brad, get me the booking details." Brad typed with theatrical slowness while the twins stood there, humiliation burning their cheeks as hot as summer asphalt. Other passengers were watching openly now, some with phones raised, recording this moment that would soon go viral for all the wrong reasons. The final boarding call for Flight 2847 echoed through the gate area, each word another nail in the coffin of the twins' hopes. Tinsley's computer screen showed the booking information, and she scrutinized every detail like she was decoding enemy intelligence. This was booked 3 days ago using a Skyward Airlines Corporate American Express card. Account holder, Damian Harrison. That's our dad," Lily practically shouted, hope flaring briefly. "How did 2 12-year-old girls get access to a corporate credit card?" Tinsley asked, her tone suggesting she'd already decided on the answer. "We didn't get access to anything. Dad bought them for us." Rose's tears were flowing freely now, her voice thick with confusion and fear. Brad jumped in with fake concern. "Do you have any proof of that? Any documentation?" Lily fumbled with her phone, her fingers shaking as she pulled up their text messages. "I can show you our conversations with him. I can call him right now." "Text messages can be faked," Tinsley dismissed with a wave of her hand. "And we're not letting you make any calls until we sort this out. You can't stop us from calling our father." Lily's voice rose with the kind of righteous anger that comes from knowing you're right in a world that's determined to make you wrong. We can and we will if we suspect fraudulent activity, Tinsley replied with the calm of someone who held all the power and knew it. The final boarding call repeated overhead, the plane preparing to leave without them. The twins' panic was rising like flood water, threatening to drown them in this nightmare that had materialized from nowhere. Lily thrust her phone toward Tinsley, the screen showing their morning texts, photos of them with their father, proof of their truth. Here's our text from this morning. Here's him saying he'll pick us up. Here's a picture of us with him. Tinsley barely glanced at the evidence, her mind already made up before the girls had even approached the counter. Photos don't prove he purchased these tickets. For all we know, you stole his credit card information. We didn't steal anything. Rose's voice broke completely, sobs racking her small body. That's when the black woman from the boarding line couldn't take it anymore. She approached again, her professional composure barely containing her fury at what she was witnessing. Excuse me, I don't mean to interfere, but have you actually verified whether these tickets are fraudulent? Because these children are clearly upset and you're treating them like criminals. Tinsley turned her cold gaze on this woman who dared to challenge her authority. Ma'am, this is airline business. Please board the aircraft or step away from the counter. I'm not boarding until I see this resolved fairly. The woman stood her ground, her voice carrying the strength of every black woman who'd ever had to fight for justice. Then you'll miss your flight, Tinsley threatened. The woman hesitated, looking at the twins with eyes that said she understood. She saw what was happening. She was sorry she couldn't do more. What's your father's name? She asked the girls directly. Damian Harrison, Lily answered, then added the words that should have changed everything. He's the CEO of Skyward Airlines. The woman's eyes widened with shock, then narrowed with understanding. She looked at Tinsley with disgust that could have melted steel. Did you hear that? Their father is the CEO of Skyward. Maybe you should verify before you accuse these children of theft. Tinsley's dismissal was immediate and complete. Anyone can claim to be related to a CEO. I need verification. Then verify. Call the corporate office. Do your job instead of traumatizing children. The woman's voice rose with each word. We follow protocol here. And protocol says suspicious tickets get flagged until proven legitimate. Brad stepped between them like a bouncer at a club. These girls were too young and too black to enter. Ma'am, you need to board now or you'll be left behind. The woman looked torn, her desire to help warring with the reality of her powerlessness in this situation. She gave the twins one last pained look. I'm sorry, girls. I tried. She boarded reluctantly, looking back multiple times, her phone already out, no doubt texting someone about what she'd witnessed. The twins were now alone at the counter with Tinsley and Brad, David and Goliath if Goliath had backup and a badge. The gate area was emptying out, their plane visible through the window, so close and yet impossibly far away. That's when Tinsley picked up her radio, her movements deliberate and threatening. Security to gate 47. Possible credit card fraud. 2 unaccompanied minors with suspicious tickets. Please don't call security. Lily's composure finally shattered completely. We didn't do anything wrong. Just call our dad. Put your phone away right now, Tinsley commanded with the authority of someone who knew security would back her up no matter what. No. I'm calling my father. Lily's fingers flew across her phone screen, dialing the number she'd known by heart since kindergarten. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times. In Seattle, Damian's phone buzzed uselessly on the conference room table, face down, silence for the board meeting that was running long. Voicemail. Lily's voice broke as she left a message, her words tumbling over each other in desperation. Dad, they won't let us board. They're saying our tickets are fake. They called security. Please call back. Please. She hung up and immediately called again. Voicemail. The crushing weight of their father being unreachable when they needed him most was almost unbearable. She called their grandmother next, and Patricia answered on the first ring like she'd been waiting by the phone, which she had been. Baby, what's wrong? Did you board? Grandma. Lily's relief at hearing a familiar voice was palpable. They won't let us on the plane. They're saying Dad's tickets are stolen. What? Put them on the phone right now. Patricia's voice could have commanded armies. Lily handed the phone to Tinsley, who took it with the disdain of someone forced to deal with another hysterical relative. Who is this? Tinsley asked, her tone suggesting she didn't care about the answer. I'm their grandmother, Patricia Williams. Those tickets were purchased by their father. This is absurd. Ma'am, I understand you're upset, but these tickets were flagged by our system as potentially fraudulent. Your system is wrong. Damian Harrison is their father. He's the CEO of Skyward Airlines, for crying out loud. Anyone can claim that over the phone. We need in-person verification. He's in Seattle. That's where they're trying to fly to. Patricia's frustration was reaching a breaking point. Then I suggest he come verify these tickets himself, Tinsley replied with bureaucratic cruelty. That's insane. You're holding his children hostage because of a computer glitch. We're following safety protocol. Until we can verify these tickets, the girls aren't flying. I'm coming back to that airport right now. Don't you dare move them anywhere. Patricia's voice carried the threat of a grandmother protecting her cubs. Security will handle this appropriately, Tinsley replied, unmoved by Patricia's fury. She handed the phone back to Lily, who could hear her grandmother crying and furious on the other end. Baby, I'm turning around right now. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Don't go anywhere with anyone. Stay where you are. Okay, Grandma, Lily whispered, her own tears flowing freely now. She hung up, and Rose clung to her sister like a life raft in a storm. That's when they saw them, two security officers approaching with the measured walk of authority. Officer Davis, a white man in his 50s with a face that had never smiled at a child, and Officer Ramirez, a Hispanic woman in her 30s whose eyes at least showed a flicker of empathy. They arrived at the counter like judges at a trial that had already been decided. What's the situation? Davis asked, his tone suggesting he'd already chosen a side. These two girls have boarding passes purchased with a stolen corporate credit card, Tinsley reported with the confidence of someone who'd never been challenged on her assumptions. We believe it's fraud. Davis looked at the twins, really looked at them, and saw what he expected to see based on nothing but prejudice. Is that true? No. Our father bought these tickets. Lily's voice was hoarse from crying, but her conviction never wavered. We're not thieves. Rose added, the word itself so foreign to her 12-year-old vocabulary that it came out like a question. Where's your father now? Davis asked, his hand already resting on his radio like he might need backup for two preteens. Seattle. We're supposed to be flying to see him, Lily explained yet again, each repetition draining more hope from her voice. Officer Ramirez, sensing the genuine distress of children rather than criminals, knelt down to their level. What's your father's name? Damian Harrison, Lily answered, then added with desperate hope, he's the CEO of Skyward Airlines. Ramirez's eyebrows rose slightly. She looked at Davis, who dismissed it with a shake of his head that said he'd heard every lie in the book. And he purchased these tickets? Ramirez asked gently. Yes. We can prove it. We have texts, pictures, everything. Rose pulled out her phone, hands shaking as she scrolled through photos of them with their father, at his office, at home, at their mother's grave. Physical evidence of purchase? Davis interrupted, his tone making it clear that nothing these girls could show would satisfy him. It's on our phones. Lily insisted. That's not sufficient. Anyone can fake digital communication, Davis declared with the authority of someone who'd made up his mind before asking the question. Ramirez stood, giving Davis a look that suggested she wasn't entirely comfortable with where this was heading. Sir, maybe we should call the number on the tickets to verify. We follow protocol, Ramirez. Davis cut her off. These tickets are flagged. The girls need to come with us until we sort this out. The words hung in the air like a sentence being passed. Through the window, the twins could see their plane backing away from the gate, their dreams of seeing their father literally taxiing away without them. Come with you where? Lily asked, her protective instincts for her sister overriding her own fear. Airport security office. Just to answer some questions, Davis said with the false casualness of someone who held all the power. We don't want to go with you. Rose's terror was complete now, her body trembling against her sister. Ramirez's maternal instincts flickered to life. We're not going to hurt you, sweetie. We just need to verify your story. But what 12-year-old believes that when uniformed officers are taking them away? The twins clung to each other as they were escorted through the terminal, every step a walk of shame past hundreds of watching eyes. Passengers stared, some with sympathy, others with the assumption that if security was involved, these girls must have done something wrong. Their purple backpacks bounced against their shoulders as they walked, the same backpacks they'd packed with such joy that morning, now feeling like evidence in a crime they didn't commit. Lily held Rose's hands so tight their knuckles went white, trying to be the big sister even though she'd been born only 3 minutes earlier. They were led down a corridor marked, "Authorized Personnel Only," through a door that might as well have said, "Abandon hope all ye who enter here." The hallway beyond was institutional gray, lit by fluorescent lights that hummed like angry wasps, the smell of burnt coffee and industrial disinfectant mixing into the perfume of bureaucratic indifference. The security office was a small room with a metal table and 4 plastic chairs that looked like they'd been specifically designed to be uncomfortable. The walls were bare except for official notices and a clock that would mark every excruciating minute of this nightmare. Officer Ramirez stayed with them while Davis stepped out to do whatever security officers do when they've already decided someone's guilty. She sat across from them, her face showing the conflict between following orders and following her conscience. "Girls, I know you're scared," she said softly, "but we just need to get this sorted out, okay?" "We're telling the truth," Lily insisted, her voice raw from repetition. "Our dad bought these tickets." "I believe you believe that," Ramirez replied, which wasn't the same as believing them. "But we have to verify everything." "Why?" Rose asked with the pure confusion of a child who'd been raised to believe the system was fair. "Why don't you believe us?" Ramirez didn't have a good answer because the truth, that 2 black girls traveling alone on expensive tickets triggered assumptions that 2 white girls never would have faced, wasn't something she could say out loud. "It's procedure," she finally offered weakly. "When tickets are flagged, we have to investigate." "Why were our tickets flagged?" Lily asked the question that cut to the heart of everything. "We didn't do anything to trigger any flags." "I don't know," Ramirez admitted, and for a moment, her discomfort with this entire situation was visible. "That's what we're trying to figure out." Davis returned with a file folder, sitting across from the twins with the demeanor of an interrogator rather than a public servant. He opened the folder with unnecessary drama, pulling out a form like he was about to read them their rights. "All right, let's start from the beginning. Your names?" "Lily Harrison," Lily answered, her chin up despite everything, their mother's dignity living on in her daughter. "Rose Harrison," Rose whispered, her voice small but determined. "Ages?" 12, they answered in unison, their twin connection still strong even in crisis. "You're twins?" "Yes, sir," Lily responded with the politeness their grandmother had drilled into them, even when facing injustice. "And you live in Atlanta?" "Yes, sir. With our grandmother, Patricia Williams." "And your parents?" Davis asked, his tone suggesting he was looking for inconsistencies. The question hung heavy in the antiseptic air. Lily's voice dropped to barely above a whisper. "Our mother passed away 2 years ago. Our father lives in Seattle for work." For just a moment, Ramirez's eyes softened with genuine sympathy, but Davis remained unmoved. "I see. And he purchased these tickets for you." "Yes. How many times do we have to tell you?" Rose's frustration finally boiled over, 12 years old and already exhausted by injustice. "Watch your tone, young lady," Davis warned with the authority of someone who'd never been questioned by a child. "Sir, they're children." "They're scared," Ramirez intervened, her discomfort growing with each passing minute. "They're suspects in a fraud investigation," Davis countered, the word "suspects" hanging in the air like a guilty verdict already passed. "Suspects? We're 12. Lily's incredulity would have been funny if it weren't so tragic. "Age doesn't preclude criminal activity," Davis replied with the cold logic of someone who'd forgotten that children were children. The word criminal landed like a bomb in that small room. Rose started crying harder, The kind of crying that comes from fear and confusion and the terrible realization that being innocent isn't always enough. Lily's hands shook with a combination of anger and fear that no 12-year-old should have to feel. "Please just call our father," Lily begged for what felt like the 1,000th time. "His number is on the tickets. Just call him." "We'll verify everything in due time," Davis replied with bureaucratic coldness. "First, I need you to unlock your phones." "Why?" Lily asked, her last bit of privacy about to be stripped away. "To review your communications. To verify your story." "That's private," Lily protested, holding her phone against her chest like armor. "If you're innocent, you have nothing to hide," Davis said, the logic of authoritarians everywhere. That's when Ramirez finally found her backbone. "Sir, we need parental consent to search a minor's phone." Davis glared at her like she'd betrayed the thin blue line. "They're suspects. They're children," Ramirez insisted, her voice firmer now. "We need to follow proper procedure." The irony of following proper procedure now, after everything that had been improper about this situation, wasn't lost on anyone in that room. Davis backed down, but his expression promised this wasn't over. Outside the room, raised voices could be heard echoing down the corridor. Patricia Williams had arrived, and hell hath no fury like a grandmother whose grandbabies were being mistreated. "Those are my grandbabies. Where are they?" Patricia's voice carried the authority of generations of black women who'd fought battles they shouldn't have had to fight. A security guard tried to stop her. "Ma'am, you can't be back here." "Watch me," Patricia declared, and the sound of her church heels clicking on linoleum was like an army approaching. She followed the sound of crying, her grandmother's instinct leading her straight to her girls. Davis stood to block her entry, but Patricia Williams had faced down bigger obstacles than one security officer. "Ma'am, this is a restricted area," Davis announced, standing in the doorway like a guardian of injustice. "And those are my grandchildren." Patricia's fury could have powered the entire airport. "What have you done to them?" She pushed past him with the strength of righteous anger, gathering both girls in her arms. They clung to her like she was salvation itself, both crying now, their bodies shaking with the relief of familiar arms. "Explain to me right now," Patricia demanded, her voice carrying the weight of every ancestor who'd fought for justice, "why 2 innocent children are being treated like criminals." "They were traveling with fraudulent tickets," Davis stated as if repetition would make it true. "They were not. Their father purchased those tickets. Damian Harrison, CEO of Skyward Airlines." Patricia's voice rose with each word. "How hard is that to verify?" "We're following protocol," Davis started, but Patricia cut him off with the precision of a woman who'd heard enough excuses for a lifetime. "Your protocol is traumatizing 2 children who just lost their mother. They were excited to see their father, and you've turned it into a nightmare." Ramirez stepped forward, trying to de-escalate. "Ma'am, I understand you're upset. We're just trying to verify the tickets." "Then pick up the phone and call him." Patricia's frustration was palpable. "His number is right there on the reservation." "We will in due time," Davis replied with infuriating calm. "First, we need to complete our investigation." "Investigation?" Patricia's voice could have shattered glass. "They're children with valid boarding passes." That's when the door opened and a supervisor entered. David Chin, 45, Asian American, with the measured demeanor of someone who'd risen through the ranks by keeping his head down but hadn't forgotten his humanity in the process. "What's going on here?" Chen asked, his tone neutral but his eyes taking in everything. The crying children, the furious grandmother, the defensive officers. "Possible fraud case," Davis reported like a soldier to a superior. 2 minors with corporate tickets they can't verify." Chen's eyebrow raised slightly at the phrasing. "Can't verify or haven't verified?" "Sir?" Davis asked, not understanding the distinction. "Did you call the number on the reservation?" Chen asked with the patience of someone dealing with incompetence. "Not yet. We were questioning the suspects first." "The 12-year-old suspects," Chen repeated, his tone making it clear what he thought of that classification. He looked at the twins, really looked at them, 2 scared children clinging to their grandmother, tears streaming down their faces, purple backpacks that had probably been picked out with such care for their first solo flight. Something in his expression shifted. "Let me see the tickets," he ordered. The paperwork was handed over, and Chen reviewed it with the attention to detail that had made him supervisor. His expression changed as he read, understanding dawning. "This is a Skyward corporate account. Registered to Damian Harrison." "That's what we've been saying," Patricia exclaimed with exhausted vindication. "And the girls claim he's their father?" Chen asked, though his tone suggested he already believed it. "He is our father," Lily said, her voice hoarse but determined to be heard. Chen turned to his officers with barely concealed frustration. "Officer Davis, did you verify this claim?" "We were in the process," Davis started. "That's a no," Chen cut him off. "Officer Ramirez, please call the contact number on this reservation." "Yes, sir," Ramirez replied, relief evident in her voice as she pulled out her phone. The phone rang, and 3,000 miles away in Seattle, Damian's phone vibrated uselessly on the conference table, face down and silenced while he presented quarterly projections to a board that had no idea their CEO's world was falling apart. Voicemail. "No answer," Ramirez reported. "Leave a message identifying yourself and asking for immediate callback," Chen instructed. Ramirez did, her official voice explaining the situation in terms that would terrify any parent. Chen turned to his computer, fingers flying across the keyboard. "Damian Harrison. Let's see what we can find." He typed the name into Google, and the screen filled with results. His eyes widened as he clicked through. Forbes, Damian Harrison named CEO of Skyward Airlines. Wall Street Journal, Skyward Airlines CEO Damian Harrison leads industry in innovation. Business Insider, how Damian Harrison rebuilt Skyward after personal tragedy. And then, the article that changed everything from 2 years ago. Skyward CEO's wife loses battle with cancer. The accompanying photo showed Damian Harrison at a funeral, his arms around 2 young girls. Chen zoomed in, and there was no mistaking it, Lily and Rose, younger but unmistakably them, at their mother's funeral. Chen's voice was quiet but carried the weight of dawning horror. "Officer Davis. Come look at this." Davis approached the screen, and the color drained from his face as he saw article after article, photo after photo, proof after proof that these girls were exactly who they said they were. "Still think these girls stole his credit card?" Chen asked, his voice deadly quiet. The silence in that room was deafening. This is already too much for any children to endure, but it's about to get worse before it gets better. If you want to see justice served, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on. And I need to know, what would you do if you were Damian Harrison and found out your daughters were being treated this way? Leave your answer in the comments. In Seattle, Damian Harrison's world was about to explode. The Q4 expansion presentation was reaching its climax, board members nodding approvingly at profit projections that would mean nothing in about 30 seconds. Damian was explaining market penetration strategies when something made him glance at his watch, 2:47 p.m. His daughters should have boarded 32 minutes ago. They always texted when they boarded. Boys. A cold finger of dread traced down his spine as he reached for his phone under the table, trying to be discreet. The screen lit up with a cascade of notifications that made his blood turn to ice. 7 missed calls from Lily. 4 from Rose. 3 from Patricia. 2 from unknown Atlanta numbers. 6 voicemails. 15 text messages. His chair scraped against the floor as he stood abruptly, the presentation forgotten, the board members forgotten, everything forgotten except his daughters. "Damian, we're in the middle," the CFO started. "It's my daughters." "Excuse me." Damian's voice carried a tone that no one in that room had ever heard before, not the CEO speaking, but a father whose children were in danger. He was out the door before anyone could respond, phone already pressed to his ear as he listened to the first voicemail. Lily's terrified voice filled his ear. "Dad, they won't let us board. They're saying our tickets are fake. They called security on us. We're scared." His hand braced against the wall as the world tilted. The second voicemail was Rose crying, "Daddy, please call back. The lady at the gate is being mean to us. She says we're lying about you being our dad." The third message was Patricia, and her fury mixed with fear made his knees weak. Damien, I don't know what's happening, but they've taken the girls somewhere. Security has them. They're treating them like criminals. I'm going back to the airport. Call me immediately. Damien Harrison, CEO of Skyward Airlines, the man who commanded boardrooms and controlled billion-dollar deals, was shaking as he called Patricia back. She answered before the first ring finished. Damien. Where are they? Are they safe? They're with me now. In some security office. Damien, they accused them of fraud. They wouldn't let them board. They've been interrogating them like criminals. The deadly quiet in Damien's voice was more terrifying than any shout. Put me on speaker. Patricia switched to speaker, and his daughter's voices crying, Dad, almost broke him completely. I'm here, babies. Are you hurt? No, we're okay. Just scared, Lily said, trying to be brave. They said we stole your credit card. Rose sobbed. Damien closed his eyes, his jaw clenching so tight his teeth ached. When he spoke again, his voice was controlled but contained in fury that could level mountains. Patricia, who's in charge there? There's a supervisor, David Chin. He just got here. Put him on the phone. Now. Chen took the phone with the professional calm of someone who didn't yet realize his entire career was about to change. Mr. Harrison? Supervisor Chen, I'm going to speak very clearly so there's no misunderstanding. Those are my daughters. I purchased those tickets. They've been traumatized by your staff. I want the names of every single person involved in this. Mr. Harrison, I understand your frustration. No, Damien cut him off with surgical precision. You don't understand anything yet. I am the CEO of Skyward Airlines. Those are my children. Your gate agents profiled them, accused them of theft, and had them detained by security. Do you have any idea what you've done? Chen's voice wavered for the first time. Sir, we're investigating the situation. The investigation is over. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to release my daughters immediately. You're going to personally escort them and their grandmother to a comfortable location. You're going to get me the names of gate agents Tinsley Ray and Brad Thompson. And then you're going to get me the airport director on the line. Sir, are my instructions unclear, Supervisor Chin? No, sir. Crystal clear. Put my daughter Lily on the phone. Lily's voice was small and scared. Dad. Baby girl, listen to me. You and Rose did nothing wrong. Nothing. What happened to you was wrong, and I'm going to fix it. I need you to be strong for just a little bit longer. Can you do that? Yes, Dad. I'm getting on a plane right now. I'll be there as fast as humanly possible. You stay with Grandma. Don't let anyone separate you. If anyone gives you any more trouble, you call me immediately. Understood? Understood. I love you. I love you more than all the stars, baby. Put Rose on. Daddy. Rose's voice was thick with tears. Princess, I'm so sorry this happened. This is not your fault. The adults who did this were wrong. I'm coming to get you. You're flying here? I'm flying there right now. And Rose? Mr. Snuggles was a good choice to bring. Sometimes we need our friends when things get scary. Despite everything, Rose let out a watery giggle. Lily said I was too old for him. You're never too old for comfort. I love you, Princess. I love you too, Daddy. Damien had Patricia back on the line. Patricia, don't let them out of your sight. I don't care what anyone says. I won't. Damien, you should have seen how they treated them. Like criminals. Like they didn't belong there. I know. It's going to be handled. I promise you that. Damien ended the call and immediately dialed Linda, his assistant. She answered with her usual professionalism until she heard his voice. Linda, I need the jet ready in 15 minutes. I'm flying to Atlanta immediately. Damien, what's wrong? My daughters were denied boarding and detained by security because gate agents didn't believe black girls could have a ceofather. I need you to do several things right now. First, call the chairman of the board and tell him I'm dealing with a discriminatory incident involving my children. Second, get me the direct lines for the Atlanta airport director, the head of gate operations for Skyward, and our legal department. Third, I want every skyward flight at Atlanta held at the gate until I say otherwise. Every flight. Every single flight. No skyward plane leaves Atlanta until my daughters are safe and I have answers. Damien, that's going to... I know exactly what it's going to do. Do it anyway. Linda's fingers were already flying across her keyboard. The jet will be ready. I'm sending the numbers to your phone now. Damien was already in the elevator, heading down from the 52nd floor. His phone rang, the airport director. Mr. Harrison, this is Director Walsh. I just heard. Director Walsh, 2 of your gate agents and your security team just traumatized my 12-year-old daughters because they couldn't believe black children could fly on corporate tickets. They were accused of fraud and theft, detained, and interrogated. Tell me why I shouldn't hold a press conference in your airport in 3 hours. Mr. Harrison, I am mortified. This is completely unacceptable. I'm heading to the security office personally right now. You do that. And Director Walsh? I want Tinsley Ray and Brad Thompson's employment terminated immediately. Sir, there are procedures. There were procedures for verifying tickets too, and they chose discrimination instead. Fire them, or I'll make sure everyone in America knows that Atlanta's airport profiles children. I'll handle it personally. Damien's next call was to his head of legal. Sarah, I need you to document everything that happened to my daughters today. I want a full investigation, and I want to know how many other families have been profiled by those same agents. Damien, I'm so sorry. We'll handle everything. His phone buzzed with a text from Linda. All skyward flights at Atlanta are holding. The board is asking what's happening. Damien typed back, tell them discrimination has consequences. He was in his car now, his driver racing toward Boeing Field where the corporate jet waited. His phone rang again, Chin from the security office. Mr. Harrison, your daughters are with their grandmother in our VIP lounge. They're safe and comfortable. The airport director is here. Put him on. Director Walsh's voice was carefully controlled. Mr. Harrison, I've just been briefed on the situation. This is inexcusable. Both gate agents have been suspended pending immediate termination. Suspension isn't enough. They're being escorted out as we speak. Mr. Harrison, I want to personally apologize. You can apologize to my daughter's faces. I'll be there in 3 hours. Damien hung up and immediately called the head of Skyward's gate operations. Tom, I want every gate agent in Atlanta retrained on discrimination and bias. I want new protocols that make profiling impossible. And I want it done within the week. Damien, what happened? My daughters were profiled and detained because gate agents thought being black meant they were thieves. How many other children has this happened to that we don't know about? The silence on the other end was telling. Find out, Damien ordered. I want a full audit of every disputed boarding in the last year. Look for patterns. He was at the airport now, striding toward his jet with the purpose of a man on a mission. The pilots were ready, the engines already warming up. As he boarded, his phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. It was a video link from someone who'd been at the gate. Damien watched in horror as his daughters were confronted by Tinsley Ray, as they were made to step aside, as other passengers boarded while they stood in shame. He could see Rose crying, Lily trying to be strong. His hands shook with rage. He forwarded the video to Sarah in legal and to 3 journalists he knew. The caption, "This is what happened to my 12-year-old daughters today at Atlanta Airport. They were profiled, accused of theft, and detained. Because they're black. I'm the CEO of Skyward Airlines, and this happened on our airline." Within minutes, his phone exploded with calls from media outlets. He ignored them all except one, a prominent black journalist he'd known for years. Damien, I just saw the video. I'm so sorry. Run the story, Denise. Every detail. I want the world to know what happened today. You're sure? This is going to be huge. My daughters were treated like criminals for existing while black. Yes, I'm sure. The jet was airborne now, cutting through the sky toward Atlanta. Damien opened his laptop and began typing an email to every Skyward employee. Today, my 12-year-old daughters were denied boarding on a Skyward flight. They were accused of fraud, detained by security, and interrogated. Their crime? Being black children with corporate tickets. This happened on our airline, by our gate agents. This is not who we are. This is not who we will be. Effective immediately, several changes will be implemented. He detailed new training requirements, new oversight measures, and new accountability standards. He ended with, "To those responsible for what happened today, you're terminated. To anyone else who thinks profiling children is acceptable, resign now. To my daughters who might read this someday, I'm sorry the world showed you its ugly face today. Daddy's going to fix it." He hit send. 16,000 employees would read it within the hour. His phone rang. The chairman of the board. "Damien, I just heard. The entire board stands behind you. Whatever you need." "I need systemic change, Richard. Not just at Skyward. Industry-wide." "Then that's what we'll do." "Damien, how are the girls?" For the first time since this started, Damien's voice cracked. "They're 12, Richard. They just wanted to see their dad." Back in Atlanta, the airport was in chaos. Every Skyward flight was holding at the gate, passengers demanding answers. Social media exploded as the video went viral. #flyingwhileblack started trending. Other passengers from the flight began posting their own videos and accounts of what they'd witnessed. Patricia sat in the VIP lounge with the twins, holding them close. Airport executives kept coming to apologize, but she wasn't interested in apologies. She wanted justice. "Grandma," Lily said quietly, "is Dad really holding all the planes? Every Skyward plane in this airport is waiting because of what they did to you." "That must be costing a lot of money," Lily said with her analytical mind. "Some things are more important than money, baby." Director Walsh approached nervously. "Mrs. Williams, Mr. Harrison's jet is on approach. He'll be here in 20 minutes. "Good," Patricia said. "And those gate agents?" "Terminated. Escorted from the property." "And the security officers who treated my granddaughters like criminals?" Walsh shifted uncomfortably. "Under review." "Under review isn't enough," Patricia said with the same steel her son-in-law had shown. Meanwhile, Tinsley Ray was being escorted out of the airport by security, the same security she'd called on 2 innocent children. Her face was red with indignation. "This is ridiculous. I was following protocol." "Your protocol was discrimination," the security chief said coldly. "You profiled 2 children. You're done." Brad Thompson was cleaning out his desk, his hands shaking. His phone was blowing up with messages as the video spread. His wife had called crying, asking how he could do such a thing. "I was just backing up my colleague," he kept saying, but even he knew how hollow it sounded. Damien's jet touched down at Atlanta with the smooth precision of righteous anger arriving. He was off the plane before the engines finished spooling down, striding through the airport with purpose. Employees recognized him, some applauding, others recording. He didn't slow down. He burst into the VIP lounge, and his daughters flew into his arms. The 3 of them held each other, crying, not caring who saw. Damien kissed the top of their heads, breathing them in, feeling their heartbeats against his chest. "I'm here," he whispered. "Daddy's here. You're safe." "They were so mean, Dad," Rose sobbed into his shoulder. "They said we were thieves," Lily added, her voice muffled against him. "They were wrong. They were so wrong. And they're gone. They'll never do this to another child again." He pulled back to look at them, his hands cupping their faces. "You did nothing wrong. You were brave and strong and dignified. I'm so proud of you both." Director Walsh approached hesitantly. "Mr. Harrison, Damien stood, putting himself between the director and his daughters. "Director Walsh, my daughters were traumatized in your airport. They were profiled, humiliated, and detained. Tell me why I shouldn't sue this airport into bankruptcy." "Mr. Harrison, we're prepared to." "You're prepared?" Damien's voice rose. "Were you prepared when your gate agents decided my daughters were criminals? Were you prepared when security interrogated them?" The entire lounge was watching now. Damien didn't care. These are children. 12 years old. They had valid tickets. They had done nothing wrong. And your staff traumatized them because they couldn't believe black children could afford to fly. We're implementing new training immediately. Training? Damien laughed bitterly. You need more than training. You need a complete overhaul of your culture. And you're going to get it whether you want it or not. He turned to the room at large, his voice carrying. Every person in this airport needs to know what happened here today. 2 children were profiled and detained because of the color of their skin. In 2025. In Atlanta, the city too busy to hate. Well, apparently not too busy to profile children. His phone rang. CNN was calling. This time he answered. Mr. Harrison, we'd like to interview you about what happened today. I'll do you one better. I'll give you exclusive access to the security footage. Let America see what discrimination looks like. He hung up and turned back to Walsh. Every second of security footage. Every communication between your staff. All of it goes public. Let's see how many other families come forward. Within hours, the story was everywhere. The video from the gate had been viewed millions of times. The hashtag Justice for Lillian Rose was trending worldwide. Other families began sharing their own stories of discrimination while flying. And that's the real power of standing up to injustice. It echoes through time, protecting people you'll never meet, changing futures you'll never see, creating a world where eventually, hopefully, stories like this become history rather than headlines. The Harrison twins had ensured their story would be remembered. More importantly, they'd ensured it would never need to be repeated. If this story moved you, if it made you angry, if it made you think, then share it. Subscribe to make sure stories like this are told. And ask yourself, what injustice in your life are you accepting that you could be changing? What would Lily and Rose do? Leave your thoughts in the comments, and remember, change starts with refusing to accept that wrong is normal. Stand up. Speak out. Change the world.